Hi guys, welcome back to the Crypto Atlas. Okay, so we're gonna get into this cryptocurrency. It's Orchid. I did one other video where I went pretty in depth into this before, but today I want to kind of go over with where we're currently at, how the price forecast for this could potentially go. I'm gonna be using the phrase forecast. A lot of other channels, they call it price predictions, but I'm not Nostradamus, and you can't predict stock market, you can't predict the cryptocurrency, you can't predict these things. They're calculated risks, right? So first thing I want to say is that I'm not a financial advisor, so the information I'm sharing with you guys, take this as an educational based video. Always do more research yourself, but hopefully a lot of this information will be helpful for you guys. I also want to have a little side note. So if you would like to try and buy this, or I mean not try, but if you want to buy it, I'm going to have a link to Coinbase. It's a referral link, and it says that when I introduce a friend, or at least as the time of this video, that both of us could get $10 of free Bitcoin when your friend buys or sells at least $100 of digital currency. So if you've never been on an exchange, I've got the referral link there, and I just gave you the credentials. If you want to do something like that and get a little bit something extra, it's up to you. Okay, so as you guys can kind of see here on the chart, there's a couple of things that I've really highlighted. So right now what we have is this descending triangle pattern, these red lines. Why is that so important? Well, a descending triangle pattern actually is suggestive of a bearish trend. So it's suggesting that the price is more likely than not to continue to go down. So if you are very bullish right now, just keep in mind that on a daily chart perspective, this is looking on a short term as a bearish indicator. But I'm going to also tie in some other things and how I kind of have my perspective view on with that in just a moment. So we have actually had a bounce off today of what's called the support, and at this support it's approximately at 40 cents. This is where we had a dip down that day back on August 16th before it had a big push up all the way up to about, it went up to $1. And then as we've seen today, as of August 25th, it's had a dip down, touched that baseline, and then pushed itself back up. If it was to break this new form of identification of support, the next form of support that we would be looking at is going to be right around here at 27 cents. This is where we had a push up before. If we break past that even further, then we're basically entering into the consolidated zone, which is a very long-term perspective view. I mean, we're dating all the way back basically to March 14th of this year, where it just wasn't really doing much. So I'm hoping that it doesn't do that, but if it does, then you know what they say, buy the dip, because there's a lot of other indicators that looks very bullish for this in the long term. Short term, we're starting to see a little bit of that retracement. Some people say that this could be a pump and dump. And if you do look at it back on the previous day, it had a huge run up and it retraced about 50%. So that is a little bit indicative of it being a pump and dump. However, it didn't retrace all the way back. And we've seen a slow pullback down, but if you were to say, well, yeah, I mean, they're just slowly selling off every day. This is what I kind of wanted to lead into, is that you go take a look at Ethereum over the last week. You go take a look at Bitcoin. You take a look at the whole crypto market in general for the most part. The last week, for the most part, we've been seeing declines on all the major cryptocurrencies. Chainlink was on this huge run. Everybody's been boasting about that. And even that, it's been seeing itself pulling back. By the way, if you guys are new, I should have said this in the beginning. If you guys are new, please don't forget to hit the like button. As many likes as possible. It helps us in getting the discoverability out there. Subscribe to the channel and be sure to drop a comment down below. Let me know any thoughts that you have on this specific coin. If there's another coin that you want me to try and take a look at in the future. I plan on doing more of a focus on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but as far as like an altcoin goes, I noticed not a lot of people are talking about this. So I decided to do a little bit more of a in-depth price prediction video. So guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. All right, so here we go. You take a look at Ethereum, you can see that the volume has been steadily declining. The relative strength index has also been declining. So with the volume declining, the RSI declining, these are good indicators that we should see a reversal take place and the volume should actually start kicking up, meaning that there should be some major action in one direction or the other. It either going up to the top more or going down. And when you take a look over at something like Bitcoin, which I'm going to go ahead and pull this up right now, you see similarly, but for the most part, we've been seeing a slight decline over the last week. decline in volume, decline in the RSI, and there's actually something called a CME gap. And also for the form of resistance, we have 10,500 for Bitcoin. It didn't really test that this last time. It just pushed straight through it. So this is largely to be indicating that we might pull all the way back to 10,500 and retest that as a form of support now instead of resistance, instead of trying to break through it. And if it breaks through now the quote unquote support, then we could see it all the way retrace down to like $9,600, $700 where there's a CME gap. And a lot of times historically, these gaps have been filled. There's also a very large amount of volume that's going on as far as shorts go, where historic numbers for the CME on that. So a lot of people think that the price is going to go down. And as we've seen today, it has gone down quite a bit. It's retraced back up here, currently down at 3.22%. So the whole crypto market is kind of seeing this decline. Earlier today in the news, the S&P 500 had reached an all-time high. So that might be a good indicator of why we saw a pullback for the cryptocurrency space. Investors might be looking at trying to pull out their funds from cryptocurrency because now this might be more bullish for the stock market, which I think the stonks people are about to get wrecked for a lot of different reasons. You look at the Warren Buffett indicator, and there's different references out there. If you guys want me to talk about that stuff, I can, but there's a lot of resources that have been talking about it recently. But we want to mostly focus on Orchid with you guys, right? So we take a look at the industry here. Short term, it's looking like it's on a pullback. This color spectrum is called the Fibonacci retracement. And so what I've done is I've actually labeled the Fibonacci retracement as a start for when the candle had started. That is a baseline, because when I did that, keep it at this baseline, we noticed a couple interesting things. We had a bounce off of the 0.618 level. And we also had a bounce off of the 0.382 level. So this is, I feel, the most accurate color spectrum that we can use, or Fibonacci retracement, I mean, as far as for Orchid goes, especially on a short-term perspective. If we look long-term, you can see everything's mostly consolidated. A lot of the movement's been occurring more recently. And you got to ask questions like, why is it more recent that this stuff's been happening? And I believe that that has ties to stuff like over on Twitter. It was from Orchid. This is showing Binance, but over on Orchid, they had mentioned, and I mentioned this in my other video, about them being introduced with Uphold, and Chainlink was also introduced with Uphold. So is 0x, ZRX. And so those are all very bullish. The introduction for Korean language with Orchid as well. And that all time frame kind of tied in when we started to see this major push up. So if we can break above this level, let's go ahead and talk about what could happen here. So I take the distance here. Let's go ahead and make this a green color. Based on today, if it was to go on a breakout, we would be passing above into the major zone, going near the actual the zero all the way to the top and setting a new all-time high. But yeah, so we would be passing several different zones, and it would be very, very bullish. The amount of volume would be increasing, and I mean, we have to have a reversal at some point. Volume can only decline so much to a point unless this thing just completely went off the face of the earth. So then we also have to take a look at it from the other perspective. If this was to continue on from today, then we would see it retracing so far down, it would be below even what it's been in the consolidated zone, which I don't really see that happening. You got a lot of people that are very bullish about the altcoin season now. You got more demand going on. The circulating supply for this isn't really that high. And so if anything, it retracing back to its previous levels, I think that's more realistic. But for it to drop even further below that, I don't think that that's likely to happen. But that's a personal opinion. You know, you guys have to judge each of these things, and there could be new relevant information as time goes by with this. So if this was hypothetically to push all the way down, we would be at negative 0.01. So that alone should already tell you that that's not going to happen. Like, you're not going to go into a negative zone. So we could see it push all the way back down below. If we did see it push all the way up, let's say if it was from today, then we would be looking at about a 94, 95 cent test. And if it was for the next day, we'd be looking at about 90 cents, next day 87, and then 82. And if this continues on in this pattern here, we're gonna have to see a breakout as it gets more and more pinched down into this point. And then that breakout is gonna go in one of two directions. As it is right now, as I've mentioned, this is more of a bearish term indicator based on a short-term analysis with a lot of the stuff that's going off in the industry space economically. If Ethereum starts to boost itself up very soon, if Bitcoin starts to boost itself up very soon, we could end up seeing this go into the reverse direction and actually go on another major breakout run. So you could see very good opportunities for making profit off of this. So now I want to go ahead and go into some of the other aspects, and I'll try and touch on this pretty quickly for you guys. When you take a look over here, I looked up when Chainlink was actually added to Binance, because Chainlink and also Orchid, as I mentioned in the other video, if you guys want to check that out, a lot of good information in there. You're going to notice that they have the same amount of total supply. Chainlink actually has way more in circulating supply than what Orchid does. They're different applications, sure. But the fact remains that for the price per coin to go up, you need about 5 times less effort from Orchid to go up than you do for Chainlink to go up, right? So the opportunity to like get a higher profit, I don't know why I said like, sorry, it's a California thing, I guess, a habit. For it to go higher up on something like Orchid, you're gonna have a better potential in the immediate future than you have something with Chainlink, unless the demand continues higher. Then even though the supply is higher for Chainlink, the demand far exceeds. So that's something to take into consideration. Now the reason why I'm talking about this with Binance is for several reasons, because there are theories out there that are saying that if Orchid was to be listed onto Binance, that would be very, very bullish, and realistically it would be, because you're now introducing it to a new market of people. And if there's higher demand and there's still low supply, that causes a price increase. Binance, in comparison to when Chainlink was added to Binance, this was back almost 3 years ago. And there's a lot more people, players in play in the cryptocurrency space now today than there was back in September of 2017. Okay, so if this goes to Binance, with the demand, with a booming industry space, if everything remains bullish, that's a good indicator of an extreme volatile growth, explosive growth for something like Orchid. It's a guarantee? No, but it's more bullish than bearish. So just keep that in mind. So according to this article, there was a rumor, and this actually was posted on August 8th, about Orchid being added over to Binance. And what I find interesting is that it says right here in a Reddit thread named "When OXT will be added to Binance for buying," an official Orchid moderator replied with confirmation of Binance listing OXT. But that's not necessarily true, and which is surprising because this is a reputable base website from what I'm understanding. It's medium.com. I've seen stuff on their website before. So if you go over here to the Reddit article, you can see that there was a question that was asked and there was one response from a moderator. They said, "Unfortunately, we cannot discuss the potential for exchange listings with the community. This doesn't serve to confirm or deny whether any discussion has taken place with Binance, only to say that if an official exchange listing of any kind happens, it will only be announced after it has occurred," right? So by their standard, if they went to Binance, we would see something like this. All of a sudden on Twitter, Binance would be saying, "Hey, you can now get Orchid on Binance," right? And I think a large reason for this is so that you can try and combat against things like insider trading. So I'm not quite sure why this was stipulated here. I mean, it is speculative, but the way that they worded it feels a little bit misleading in my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comments down below. We go back over here to when Chainlink, oh, come on. I got too many of these things. When Chainlink was added, that was on September 28th, right? 2017. September 28th, 2017. The open for Chainlink was at 19 cents. It hit a high of 28 cents, ended up closing at 24. So they did have a growth rate up. And again, remember, this is on Binance, but 3 years ago, when there was less people actually in the industry space. So that did have a bullish action on its launch. As far as for long-term goes, we need to look at a couple other things here. So pulling around September of 2018, you can see the price of Bitcoin was kind of consolidated and then actually had this dip going into November of 2018 before it finally had another big push up, moving all the way up over here into around June of 2019, which was around that $14,000 price point. So then if we take a look over at Chainlink comparatively, and we look at it around the September period, you can see that it didn't really change that much. Its price actually remained pretty static all the way up here until going into May, June, July 2019, the same time when we saw the big price movement push up with Bitcoin. So a lot of the altcoins, right, if Bitcoin becomes extremely bullish, the industry space as a whole starts to get more support because people are looking at other projects and seeing what has that potential to be the next Bitcoin, to be the next big return investment. We're in a new industry space. This isn't stocks. This isn't gold. It's not silver, right? We're talking about digital currencies, and they have different smart contracts and applications, all that good stuff. So if Bitcoin becomes very bullish soon, which a lot of the other technical analysts out there, they look at this and they say, we're looking to go to the moon very, very soon. We passed over $10,000. We're now in the second longest period ever for Bitcoin's history of being above $10,000. The second time. The last time before this was when it hit $20,000, right? There's more demand. Supply is slowed down because of the halving event. A lot of bullish indicators. Major institutions coming in, buying these things, all that good stuff. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Another thing is that when you go take a look at a lot of these different cryptocurrency YouTubers, and when they analyze stuff, they tend to show for a short period of time what are the biggest percentage gainers and the biggest percentage losers for cryptocurrency. But when they do that, they only look at the top 100. So right now, the number 100 spot for its market cap is 104 million. So think of it this way. If Orchid, which is listed on Coinbase, they only have 26, right? Listed on Coinbase. I believe it's 26 total. And Orchid's at the bottom. They're not even top 100 right now. At the moment, Orchid. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at Orchid. OXT. Orchid is listed 287. They're not even the top 200. Their market cap is 29.4 million, right? They've got like $100 million more that they could end up going. Or, well, 80. What is that, Matt? Sorry. 30 million, 70 million. Yeah, so about 70 million more. If it does that, not only is that going to reflect in a much higher price, we're going to be looking over $1 for each of these coins. But in addition, it's going to put it more on the radar of all these top YouTubers that are talking about this. And all the people that invest, that watch these people and they listen to them for the advice and they're trying to see what's like the best for this case scenario. More than likely, at the point when Orchid goes in the top 100, its percentage gain is going to be so exponential because of the limited circulating supply that it has currently, that percentage volume gain is going to be very big. And so it's going to be like, hey, let's take a look at the top 100. What's the biggest gainers? Oh, hey, there's this cryptocurrency. And let me explain a little bit more about it and why it's so unique. The fact that it's a VPN, it uses a hop mechanism, all those other things. So something else that's very bullish, if you head over to the blog.orchid.com, you can actually see that there are updates that go on with this company. Whether it be them just talking about it, and which means that they're marketing proactively their cryptocurrency, which more people that know about it, they're potentially is going to lead to more demand. So they are working, they are doing what they can, right? And there were some major other announcements that came on here. If you're really, really keen on keeping an eye on what's going on with Orchid, I think this is a very good reference for you guys. Something else I should mention too, these guys don't sponsor me or anything. As of the time of me making this video, my YouTube channel with this has like, what, 34 followers? Something like that. I'm hoping that we can hit much higher than that. And again, if you guys have not yet subscribed and you've been finding this information very valuable, now is a great time for you to take a quick second and hit subscribe. And please don't forget to hit that like button and be sure to also drop a comment. Doing all three of those things very dramatically increases our discoverability on YouTube and could be very bullish for something like this too. So if you believe in this project and you want more people to know about it, doing those little things just puts it more on a spectrum. your decisions to invest in this stuff, that's all up to you guys. Let me see, is there anything else that we may have missed here? I covered its position in the top 100. We showed the Chainlink's expansion, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these bad boys closed. The Bitcoin chart with its growth right there. The article reference to the subreddit, the posting from medium.com, Binance's post right there, Orchid's current price. And I think that that is pretty much it, guys. So be sure to check out their blogs. Let me know if this video seemed like it was educational for you guys. If you want me to continue doing more videos on this as time goes by, I will be doing shorter base videos. Again, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of an in-depth analysis in this, but most of the videos that I do, I want to talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum and get in the habit of educating you guys and what's showing up in the patterns with that. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.